طيب, chapter number 42. Do not set up rivals unto Allah. باب قول الله تعالى فلا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم تعلمون. Do not set up rivals unto Allah. The verse, do not set up rivals al-andad unto Allah in worship while you know, meaning that He alone has the right to be worshipped. Why this is here? It's of course negates the tawheed for people to set up rivals besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he mentioned this here, this chapter is with regarding to the words to be said. Even if a person, it is not intended to mean what he's saying, as it's the meaning of the previous chapters also, right? So that means here this is a delicate point that we have to practice to purify our tawheed, not to have it contaminated with anything. Even the words that we say with our mouth, even if we don't mean exactly what we say, we have to make sure that the words are said in such a way to have the perfect etiquettes with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that there is no dependence on the heart on other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if a person is not careful, his heart can become dependent on other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you don't fall into difficulties to make sure that every word is correct. If a person is in remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this becomes the norm of his speech and so on. So the andad do not make partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These favors, all of these goodness, right? It's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and not from anyone but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the hadith, يقول, a tradition from Ibn Abbas رضي الله عنهما, قال ابن عباس في الآية, Ibn Abbas رضي الله عنه explaining this verse that we just said, الأنداد هو الشرك أخفى من دبيب النمل على صفات سوداء في ظلمة الليل, وهو أن تقول والله وحياتك يا فلان وحياتي, وتقول لولا كليبة هذا لأتانا اللصوص, ولولا البط في الدار لأتى اللصوص, وقول الرجل لصاحبه ما شاء الله وشئت, قول الرجل لولا الله وفلان لا تجعل فيها فلانا, هذا كله به شرك. Al-andad means shirk. This is what Abdullah ibn Abbas said. Al-andad in the verse meaning shirk. Then pay attention to the words of who? The nephew of the Prophet ﷺ. Best people, those who understood the words of the Quran and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He said, it is as inconspicuous as a black ant moving, crawling on a black stone in the darkness of night. That means it's so hidden, like a black ant on a black stone in the darkness of the night. And he said, what is it? It is to swear, you say, by Allah and by your life, and by my life. Or it is also to say, had there not been this little dog or the duck in the house, the thief would have entered. Words that people say all the time, right? But it can show that there is hidden dependence in the hearts to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or like the statement of a man to his companion, by Allah's and your will, by the will of Allah and your will. Or had it not been Allah and so, etc. He said, do not mention anybody with Allah, because all of it is shirk. Do not say, if Allah wills and if you will, I want to do this. Right? You just say, Ma sha Allah wahda. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, alone. Even thumma, right? Then if you will, most of the time don't say that. Say, Ma sha Allah wahda. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. And you take the means, right? You do not say if it, sometimes people want to mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they know they have to refer all the bounties to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they fall into this hidden one. It is Allah and so that brought this. No, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And so is a mean, right? So you say Jazakallah khairan and so on, and definitely he gets rewards if he's doing this good and everything, but the owner of all things is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this shows this hidden shirk, to be warned from it, and it shows that the disbelievers, they believed in the oneness of Lordship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that the minor shirk, it's something that can be very hidden, that a person is not aware of. And that's why when learning this, then a person will correct himself and make sure that even the things that we say in our tongue, if you continuously say that, if you do not learn this and you continuously say that, it would affect your heart. Which is another important point. When we say the remembrance of Allah, right? You want to make dhikr. Your heart is not in the state of remembrance of Allah. Make a lot of dhikr in your tongue. Continuously. Eventually your heart will change. right? And the same thing, if a person's tongue is saying bad things all the time, that means this is a sign, because the tongue is the spokes, thing of the heart. So the person have to watch what he says to make it according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, which shows that it's mandatory for us to stay away from the sayings or the things that might mean shirk from our tongue, even if we do not believe it with our hearts. We have to stay away from that. Then he says, وعن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من حلف بغير الله فقد كفر أو أشرك رواه الترمذي وحسنه وصححه الحاكم. He says that Umar ibn al-Khattab رضي الله عنه narrated that Allah's Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم said, whoever swears by other than Allah has disbelieved or committed shirk. This is a sound hadith. Whoever swears, swearing or taking an oath, right? It has to be done only, if a person has to do it, only by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not by other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if it's done by other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it becomes shirk. Why is it shirk? Because when a person takes an oath or swearing, he's swearing by something that he exalts so much, right? And this exaltation, it is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, not for the human beings, right? So when you exalt someone to such a level, this is only the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for people to swear by, to take an oath and so on, only by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or His attributes. Because the attributes are not a creation of Allah. The attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So a person can do that only by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if not, then this is either a major shirk or minor shirk. A major shirk, if a person would believe that the thing that he's swearing by is the thing that he worships, for example, or it's like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a minor shirk if a person just would say it and not meaning with his heart that he put this in the level of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But anyway, it's something that is forbidden. It's a minor shirk, worse than major sins, because the heart should not be attached to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it shows that if a person swears by other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he has taken this thing as a rival and a nid, a partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if he says otherwise. It is not permissible, because the Prophet ﷺ said that clearly. So it shows that it's haram, and it's a shirk and disbelief if a person would swear by other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the king, by my father, by the Prophet ﷺ, by any of the creation of Allah. All of this would make it a form of shirk that a person has to stay away from it. And the exaltation and the ta'zeem, when you say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, this ta'zeem is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and not to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if a person swears by other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, as the ulama they say, there's no kaffara. Why? Because it's not valid to start with. If a person swears by other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do something, and he didn't do it, should he make kaffara, expiate for his oath? Because we know if a person swears that he's gonna feed someone, for example, and he doesn't, that means he has to expiate for it by feeding 10 people or clothing them. If he's not able, and it's in that order, then he would fast 3 days, and if not, then freeing a slave. So this is only if you swear a proper swearing by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Swearing by other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not valid. Somebody would say, man, this is a break for them. No, this is worse. Expiations or a kaffara is a way out from a trap that you are in. So it's a way that you expiate for your sin. If you do that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives you. But when you see something that doesn't have a kaffara in it, this is even worse. That means you have to make sure that you repented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's not valid. The next narration, قال ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه لأن أحلف بالله كاذبا أحب إلي من أن أحلف بغيره صادقا. He says, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, the companion of the Prophet ﷺ, to swear by Allah while lying is more loved by me than to swear by other than Him while speaking the truth. Both are sin, right? The first one, swearing by Allah, lying, it's called al-yamin al-ghamus. The Prophet ﷺ called it al-yamin al-ghamus, meaning yamin or oath that dips the person into the hellfire. If a person lying knowingly, he says wallahi, and he's talking about something in the past, and he's lying about it, that dips the person into the hellfire, major sin, right? So it's not to be taken lightly. But this is in the context of swearing by other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is worse? Swearing by other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is far worse than the sin when a person swears by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lying, because this is a major sin, and the other one is shirk. And when it comes to shirk, nothing is the like of shirk when it comes to the crime being committed, because it negates the principle of the deen, La ilaha illallah, right? So it's not to be understood that he loves that. No, it's in the context of, these two things that are mentioned here. So it shows it's something that is haram, and it's an evidence that minor shirk is in the same level, or the category of sins, meaning it does not take the person outside the fold of Islam, right? But minor shirk is worse than major sins. But to many people, major sins is far worse, right? Zina, and so on and so forth. Definitely, we do not belittling it, but we're talking about shirk here. So shirk is far worse than even the major sins. And this is an evidence of that. And it also shows the knowledge of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. And the Shaykh here mentioned something, but needs more details for us to understand it well. If you're faced with two evil, and there's no way to avoid the two evil, right? You have to do one of the two, right? What should a person do? He should choose the lesser evil. But this is a matter of life and death. To commit a haram, it should not be used, well, we're living here, what can I do? I need a house. Riba, or 2% or 3%. The lesser of two evils is take the 2%. This is not what is meant here, right? No, what is meant is that you're a matter of life and death. Like you're dying, and in front of you is pork, right? This is as mentioned in the Quran. The lesser of two evil is to eat that just to sustain your life. So if we remember that example all the time, ad-darura, or to be in such a case that you're almost sure that either you're gonna die, right, or some disaster is gonna happen to you. But something that will cause hardship to you does not make what is haram halal. Right? Your car is old and it's causing you so much difficulties, and you have to go to work and it breaks down all the time. So you say it's darura, it's a necessity. You have to take a loan to buy a better car. This is not permissible. Does not make what is haram halal. Right? So if a person is faced with two evils, right, and there is no way out, right, then he chooses the lesser of two evils. And this is a subject that has so much details to it. The last narration here, عن حذيفة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا تقولوا ما شاء الله وشاء فلان ولكن قولوا ما شاء الله ثم شاء فلان. وجاء عن إبراهيم النخعي أنه يكره أن يقول أعوذ بالله وبك، ويجوز أن يقول بالله ثم بك. قال ويقول لولا الله ثم فلان ولا تقولوا لولا الله وفلان. Hudayfa radiallahu anhu narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, do not say with the will of Allah and with the will of that person, but rather say with the will of Allah and then with the will of that person. And this is a sound hadith. It is related about Ibrahim Nakha'i that he detested to say, I seek refuge in Allah and in you, but it is permitted to say, I seek Allah's refuge first and then yours. He said, say if not Allah and then so and so, and do not say if not Allah and so and so. This is and then. See how critical that is. A person has to save the tawheed. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected the tawheed from a person falling into any form of shirk, even with the word wa, thumma, right? Wa is just one letter, which means and. Thumma means then, right? You put this in front, in place of this, some people might say, what's the big deal? It is a big deal, because it has to deal with the deen of Allah. With a word, a person enters the fold of Islam. With a word, he can go outside the fold of Islam, right? Simple word, La ilaha illallah. With a word, you make what was haram for you becomes halal. The wali and the guy that wants to get married, the wali, he would say, Zawajtuka ibnati, I make you marry my daughter, and the other would say, I accept, and there is witnesses, the matter is over. Was haram a few minutes before, became halal after a few minutes after that. This is the importance of the word to be said with the tongue. So we should never belittle these words. We should not say, well, what are you talking about? Right? These are very simple matters. It's too much, whatever. No, this is deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every word, we are responsible with every word we say. So here the Prophet ﷺ said, do not say, Masha Allah and fulan. if Allah wills and if so and so wills. And is not there. If you have to say, you say then. And if it would be misunderstood, then as it's mentioned in another hadith, say masha'Allah wahda. Say if Allah wills. Right? You seek refuge in Allah alone. If you want to say and, you say then. You don't say and others. We talked before about al-istighatha or isti'adha. Seeking refuge is an act of worship, that we should not seek it from other people. But if it's in the context of something that is a person capable of doing something, that you seek help from someone in something, then that's a different thing. Inshallah, we continue. This is the end of chapter 42. So